he had the Rodney Dangerfield Young Comedian specials, and that's kind of the first time I think that we saw, Dice and Tim Allen and Chris Rock and a lot of those guys. He really championed young comics.
Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Brad Sanders. Ready.
Ha ha, very funny motherfucker.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
Greetings, everybody, everywhere, and welcome to This Comedy Life, the podcast about all things, everything, and anybody in the world of comedy. We have that one thing in common. No matter where we're from and where we're going and what we've done, we all enjoy making people laugh. As a matter of fact, we love doing it. And today, I'm with a very special guest. Yeah.
How are you, Brad Sanders?
Man, I'm good, man. Frazer Smith, ladies and gentlemen. Frazer Big Time Smith. Now back on KLOS radio. Had been gone for a while and they begged him to come back. He's back and he's still doing stand-up, still making them laugh. So,
well, Brad, the radio I've done for like 40 years. And, we both done some radio together. It's an interesting medium. It's maybe not as hot as it was back a while ago, but, still something that I enjoy. And I got knocked off of KLOS because of the COVID. And, they just kind of ran everything automated. It was like AI had already arrived. And then about 3 months ago, they called me back and said, yeah, come on back in. So back on the air, it feels great. And having some interesting guests. And so I'm glad to be back.
Well, good for you, man. Congratulations to KLOS and to Frazer Smith. Now, what kind of...
thank you, buddy.
What kind of guests are you having?
Well, I try to mix it up, I try to give it a kind of a cross section, of actors, comedians, sports people. I've had Ice-T just did the show. I had the guys from KISS, Gene Simmons was on the show. Alice Cooper just did the show. Tim Allen was on. I had Tim Allen on. Dane Cook.
Cooper, man. Wait a minute. I got to rest on that one. Hold on. Alice.
He's a great guest. Johnny Carson said he was the best of all the musical guests that he ever had on his show. He's really funny, could have been a comic, and has and really sharp, really intelligent guy. So he's actually a really good interview, and has a overview of he's still out there. He's 80 years old. It's like Mick Jagger. He's out there still doing live shows. Probably does 200 live shows a year still. And, he's 80. So he's an interesting guy.
I guess when you're doing something you love, you get ageless. I heard Jagger had to postpone one of the shows on this series.
Well, he's 83, I think, and still does, a pretty aggressive show, a pretty, intense show. He's running all over the stage. He's 83. I can't even walk that far.
Yeah. Is he jumping out into the audience still, man?
He does all that stuff. He's amazing. I don't know what he's on, but he's doing something right. And, I guess it gives you inspiration as you get older. You realize that you don't have to be out of the game, that you can still keep doing stuff. And, so many artists aren't able to do it, but then there's a lot that can.
Well, now, how were you able to, did you translate from radio to comedy or the reverse?
Well, no, I was always a radio guy first, Brad. Mm-hmm. And I started really young. I was like 17. I started right when I got to college. I went to Western Michigan, and I got a job at the college station, and then I got a job in town at a regular station. And it was one of those stations where you had to do everything. You had to do sports, you had to do the news, weather. You used to rip the copy off the copy machine, the API machine. And then, you learn everything doing something like that in a little station. You learn how to do a little bit of everything. And so I think that was a good start for me. And then I really didn't start doing stand up. You know, I went to Detroit with my radio, and then came out to LA, and I got on some big stations there right away. I was lucky. And then I started doing stand up because our friend Jamie Masada, who owns the Laugh Factory, was my sidekick on my radio show.
Oh yeah, that was Buddy.
Buddy, you
Buddy,
got
Buddy.
it.
Yeah, that Buddy.
Buddy, I tell you.
Oh God, he was your Guillermo.
You know how that happened, Brad? Remember our friend Vic Dunlop?
Yep. Oh, I love Vic Dunlop.
Yeah, Vic was awesome, right? And he was not only a really good comic, he produced shows. So he was producing my radio show on KLOS. And he came to me one day, and he had an office on Hollywood Boulevard, and he said, hey, I got a sidekick for you. And I said, well, I don't really want a sidekick. I said, I'm number one already. Do I need a sidekick? And he goes, oh yeah, you got to meet this guy. You're going to like him. So he brought Jamie into the office, and Jamie, and so I go, Vic, I hate that guy. He's so annoying. And Vic goes, trust me, put him on the show. He's going to be a hit. So I put him on the show. He was Buddy, because that's what he called everybody, Brad.
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, he called everybody Buddy. So he's on the show, and it was a hit. Vic was right. The crowd loved it, the character. And then he didn't have that club then. He bought the Laugh Factory. He borrowed some money from a producer. I think it was Neil Israel, the guy that did Bachelor Party and a bunch of other stuff. And then he leased the little Laugh Factory that was really little at first.
Oh, and it was Off-Fong restaurant before that.
Yes. And when Mr. Off-Fong passed away, he was a famous restaurant guy in LA. Jamie bought the restaurant and knocked down the wall and built the bigger club. And, he was on my show. So he said, hey, I'm going to open this club. And I go, yeah, right, Jamie. And then I didn't think he'd do it. And then he did. And so then he goes, well, you got to come down here and MC and do some stand up. So I'd never done stand up, but I went down there and, kind of got my feet wet at that little club.
Man, do you still wear them white loafers, man?
Well, it's funny you said that. The last person that asked me that was Sherry Jordan. She goes, hey, are you still wearing those white shoes? No, that used to be my trademark, man.
Yeah.
But they get dirty too easy. I had to give that up.
Oh, come on, man. You can always buff them off because you were styling with them white loafers on. You knew it was going to be some shenanigans when you hit the stage with them loafers on, man. We don't know what to expect right now. This guy is going to do something crazy, weird, and we're going to like
it. Well, thank you, Brad. The other thing I always wore a sharkskin suit. Remember, I had that sharkskin suit, and I always wore that with the white shoes. I was trying to be a pimp.
Yeah, you was pimping all right. You're the best kind of pimp. You pimp yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
But what I remember too is when you used to do bits on the Tom Joyner show, and you would call up as his agent.
I always felt like I had that agent thing down because I had some agents that were really like those kind of typical agent caricatures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like Ari and the Jeremy Piven character in Entourage. I had agents that were like that. So I kind of knew what that character was when you and Tom asked me to do the show. And so I kind of fashioned that my character on his show after that guy, that my agent. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm a fan of Tom Joyner. And, he did so well. He did such an amazing show where he would take an airplane and fly. He'd do a show and then fly halfway across the country and do another show the same day.
He did AM in Dallas, PM afternoon drive in Chicago.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And, he
nowadays you just do Zoom. He wouldn't have to do all that. But
oh, yeah. But he made a gimmick out of it, man. And he said he had to go to the doctor, and the doctor says, listen, when you get into a pressurized cabin on an airplane, you lose a quart of water You lose a quart of your moisture. So you got to replace it.
Wow.
So he would be drinking water all the time. When he would drink that water before he got on the plane. He'd drink it all during the afternoon show, and then he'd get back on the plane and go to Dallas.
It's just amazing to me that he was able to do that, Yeah. And it was a great gimmick because look, he became a big star with that and made a lot of money.
Yeah, well, remember he had that Cow Bear shirt. Well, he was from Dallas, so he had to be a Dallas Cowboy fan. But he was going to Chicago, so he had to be a Bear fan. So he had a shirt made, split down the middle, Cowboys on one side, Bears on the other. Cow Bear.
Yeah.
I'm a Cow Bear. I'm a Cow Bear fan. He always has that.
Yeah, well, right. You can't disappoint the fan base.
No, man.
And you're from Chicago. Those Bears fans, they don't want to hear about the Cowboys.
Not really.
Yeah.
Well, man, but when you first started to do stand-up, what kind of adjustments did you have to make? Did you feel you needed to make?
Well, Brad, because you've done both too. You're a really good stand-up and a really good radio performer. And you know how it is. Radio's different because the cadence is different, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, there's no audience. So you really don't know if your jokes are hitting or not, know. And really, I think on radio, it's better to be more conversational. Like it took me a while to see the difference there, Whereas with stand-up, you pretty much have to deliver a set, something that you've worked on, the material, even if you're an a crowd work kind of person, you still have to have something kind of prepared, and so it's a different kind of performance. And it did take me a long time. As you know, I was really bad at first at stand-up because I just didn't know the difference. I tried to do the same thing I was doing on the radio and it didn't work. And it took me a while to figure that out. But, with me, one thing when you do morning radio, you have to write jokes. So I was writing jokes a lot and I was writing those one-liners. And that's later what I decided to use in my stand-up. I'm just going to do one-liners. I was a fan of Rodney Dangerfield, who I later got to work with a bunch of times. And to me, Carson was my kind of style. It's not everybody's style. Not everybody wants to do that style, but it fit me because I'm kind of a sport coat wearing, suit wearing guy. And so I kind of fit that Carson mold. And what I tried to do with it later, Brad, was just make my jokes a little bit more modern than like what Rodney was doing or Johnny was doing, make it modern for today. But the same kind of style of one-liners.
Now, when I called you, was that Rodney Dangerfield's voice on your outgoing message thing?
It was.
That's what I thought. It was.
Yeah, I got to meet him. He was my hero, and I got to meet him because I used to MC every Friday night, as you know, at Laugh Factory, and Rodney would come in there at a certain point in his career. He was older. He was probably close to 80. He would come in and kind of waddle in there and do a set. He would get a standing O when he first went up because the crowd went crazy for him. He would forget half of his act, and then he would get a standing O when he got down. and I was the host, and he used to like my jokes. He would go, "Hey man, did you write that joke?" And he would try to borrow the jokes from me. Real nice guy. And helped a lot of comics, as you know. He had the Rodney Dangerfield Young Comedian specials, and that's kind of the first time I think that we saw, Dice and Tim Allen and Chris Rock and a lot of those guys. He really championed young comics.
Yeah, it's great, man. He's a very, very cool guy.
He's an interesting guy. I'll tell you a quick story though that kind of taught me a lot, and I always think about it. Rodney would do those little sets at the Laugh Factory, and a lot of times he would just mess up his act. He couldn't remember the jokes. He was 80, and he liked to smoke weed. Rodney was always
he smoked plenty of weed.
Yeah, he was smoking a lot of weed. So he'd go in there and he couldn't remember half of his act. And then I saw where he got a gig. It was at a radio convention, remember they would have that radio convention every year. I can't even remember what they call it, but it was like the annual, and there all the record reps that go up.
They
Yeah,
have a bunch of radio stations come in one place, and then you have and you go around from
yeah,
station to station
yeah.
to station. Yeah, I
Whatever they
forget
called
what
that.
that's
Yeah,
called.
Rodney was supposed to be the keynote. He was going to be he was going to do a set. He had a 45-minute set he had to do, and they were paying him 50 grand.
Oh shit! And he's
So,
forgetting the
and back then
jokes.
that was a lot of dough.
That's a lot of dough for me right now, bro. So,
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. I mean, back then that was extravagant, and he was
yeah.
going to be the entertainment for the night.
Mhm.
So I was really worried about him because Jamie and I went with him to the gig, and he couldn't get through 15 minutes when he would do that show at night. I'm like, how's he going to do 45 minutes? And he showed up, and he was a whole different human being. He had the blue suit on, which was his trademark, his red tie. He looked sharp. He got up there and he just destroyed the place for 45 minutes. And it showed me when the money's on the line, the old pro shows up.
Well, that's the real deal, and it ain't just the money, man. It's the love of the game. He had to respect the game. He had to get his head into it. The suit, the tie, the whole look. And that's the way you used to play with that sports jacket and them bikes. I used to laugh at them damn.
Well, that was what I was trying for, was to get that kind of, that kind of guy. It's kind of an older style, as you know. But you know what I find today, Brad, is that it's kind of working for me today because the jokes are very short. And, the kids today that come to the clubs now, in the clubs now, everybody's like in their 20s, and I'm the oldest guy in the club usually. And but they go for my jokes because they're so short. So their attention span is very short because of the internet and phones and everything. But they all have ADD, but they can, they can pick up on my short jokes. And then, so I'm sort of reviving that old style, but bringing it up to date, hopefully.
Well, let me tell you something. What I think is also a factor in what you're doing is you got the skill. You know what you know what your approach is. The short jokes, hit them and quit them, short attention span, and all of that. But you also know what your style is. You know what you do, and you get up there and you don't try to be like nobody else. The oldest way you can look is if you're up there trying to be young, and you play it straight down the middle. Look, I'm an old guy. Here it is.
I'm glad you see that, man. That's well said, because that is really what I do. I don't try to be somebody else, and I don't try to have a different style because none of that seems to work for me. So I just do what you said. I just go up there. I don't apologize for being my age, and just start throwing down. And it seems to be working. I'm playing everywhere. I've been very fortunate. I'm in Reno this week. They have a Laugh Factory here, Brad. And then, I was just in Philly. I was working with Ken Jeong, from the Hangover movies. Kenny, and I was opening for Ken, and I'm playing all kinds of places, and I just do the same thing. I just do my style, and for whatever reason, it seems to be clicking.
My man, you hit them and quit them, boy. I like that.
Yeah, that's really, Brad, for me, I like watching people of other styles besides me. Like I like the crowd work guys because I really don't do that. I can do it a little bit, but it's not really my thing. And so I those kind of comics are kind of my favorites to watch.
Yeah, some of my favorites that I used to go to some of the tapings, and I remember Bunny Lewis, Alex Thomas, a couple of other guys that used to do that, warm-ups. And man, that's a skill within itself.
Yes, it is. I'm working this week with Ron Pearson. Do you know Ron?
Mm-mm.
Ron's like the king of the warm-ups.
Exactly.
And every show wants him. He's just, it's a different skill. It's not really stand-up. It's really crowd work more than anything. Right. And Ronnie's really good at it. And
what does he look like?
He's a tall, thin guy, tall, thin white guy, good-looking guy, and he does juggling. He juggles too.
Shit.
Yeah, yeah.
You
And
gotta have a gimmick. You
well,
gotta,
yeah, you do.
and,
But his stand-up's good too.
yeah.
His stand-up is strong too. He's not just juggling. He's a
Oh no,
pretty
I understand.
talented guy.
I was trying
But
to. Excuse
all
me,
those warm-up guys are great.
man. I was trying to remember this guy that was warming up for Everybody Loves Raymond, and this guy
Oh,
was
yeah,
so
that is
cool,
Mark
man.
Sweet.
Woo, he was bad. He was a
Yeah,
killer.
Mark
And
Sweet was really good, man.
he come out
Uh,
and tell the audience, he says, "Let me tell you something. A fake laugh is just as good as a real one."
well, for those guys, it is.
It is. Because
Yeah,
my job is to make the sound, make the laugh track with real people.
yeah.
But
Well, what's hard about that job is that, when we do our stuff, it's pretty short form. I mean, even if you're headlining, it's an hour.
Mhm.
But those guys have to do like 3, 4 hours.
Yeah.
And because, they have to keep retaking scenes. And it's a hard job because you can start out strong, but by the end, you're like, well, what do I do now? But those guys kind of have it down. They know they have all kinds of tricks. And you're right. A guy like Ronnie, he'll do a lot of crowd work, but then he'll do some juggling, when things get stale. So they have a way to make it work.
Well, Buddy Lewis would get up there and he'd have different things, but he would give out prizes. He'd give out candy.
I
But I mean, he
just
had
work with him.
material. The material is tight. It was really great. It was right, but he get them in the mood and candy, and he worked them, man.
Yeah.
I've never done it, but I really have a lot of respect for that work.
You know what? It's really hard. I tried it a couple times and I wasn't very good at it. I would start out good, but then
Mhm.
by about hour 3, I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. I already gave out all the candy,
Yeah, right.
but
No more
Buddy,
snack.
I just work with Buddy.
Oh yeah.
I
Where?
love him. You
Where?
know who I saw? They're doing all the Christmas parties now. And so I went to the Laugh Factory Christmas party and the Improv Christmas party. And you
Uh,
remember the days when you couldn't do both or you'd be banned from one of them. But
yeah, man. I remember that back in the old American Federation of Comedian days.
yeah, right. Well,
Mhm.
but I saw Buddy and Kim. Kim Whitley, do you remember? I'm sure I know when Kim and Buddy had their show at the Ha Ha.
Yeah, they had
Uh,
one. They had a. How many nights did they have? Did they just have one night
I
on
think they
Wednesday?
just did it one night, but all
Yeah,
the big stars started coming, and it
they
was a
did.
little Ha Ha. It was a tiny little club then, but Eddie Murphy was coming, Chris Tucker, Chris Rock, all the big comics would come out, and I still remember doing a set in the little Ha Ha, and I looked down, and in the third row there's Eddie Murphy,
Yeah.
laughing at
Mhm.
my stuff. And I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, man, but they had a show. I still think they should do a documentary. I told Buddy they got to do, and Kim Whitley, she's a riot too. She's a really
Oh,
good comic.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of documentary did you think they should do?
Well, I just think about that show because it was a show that really caught on underground so that,
Mhm.
all the big stars wanted to come down and do it in a tiny
Yeah.
little club. And I just thought it was pretty dynamic the way they were able to get the buzz out. It was pre-internet, so you
Right.
couldn't do an email blast to get your audience. You couldn't,
Mhm. Yeah, but those
they
guys.
didn't have that technology. So they just had to happen by word of mouth.
Yeah,
And
but they
that's where, and it
started.
got really big.
They would, all the guys and ladies would talk it up all over town. So
Yeah.
and they
Well,
lose all their
I
personal
used to,
contacts and
I used to love those days because, nowadays the formula now has changed, because of social media. And what you do nowadays is you have a social media following, as you guys are going to have a great following with this podcast, I have a feeling. And, that's how you do things these days. Then you get your following to come out to the show, and that's how you get your audience,
Okay.
Back then, we had to try all kinds of tricks, everything from flyers to just word of mouth to promoting it at other shows, going on somebody's radio show. All the tricks we used to do are kind of out the window now because of social media.
Well, speaking of getting the word out and doing stuff, how do you like this fabulous? Look at this.
I like it, buddy.
You like
You
that?
got to have that merch.
I gotta have the merch, baby. So
Yeah,
I
it looks
want you
good,
to-
man.
Yeah, I want you to buy one of these.
Well, okay. I got some
You're
merch
working.
too, man. Remember, I used to have my slogan was too hip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, too hip. So now I got these too hip hoodies. It's
Oh,
like your
nice.
your hoodie, but it says too hip. I'll send you one, man.
Okay, well, look, man, I want you to do that agent when you were with the character that that you did.
You know what, Brad? I'm gonna have to put you on hold. Right now, I have a bigger podcast
Yeah. That's the
name
one.
over here.
Yeah, bigger
Yeah.
name on the other line.
I'll be right with you, man. I'll be right with you. I'm talking to my friend here. Hold on. Yeah, I got another big name over there. But yeah, that agent guy was cool. Hollywood agents are weird though, aren't they? I mean,
Yeah,
some of them are just really like that. They really have
yeah. Some of them are really great
like
though. Like I'll tell you, a great guy, Norm Alagin, great agent, great agent.
yeah.
He used to go by Andy Adams when he was trying to do stand-up, and he became an agent. It's Norm Alagin.
Well, there's some good ones out there, man.
Yeah.
A good agent can make you or break you. But I've had all kinds of them. I've had the biggest, the smallest. Our business is just always a scramble, right? You never know.
Yeah, it's cop and blow, bro.
Well, the only really big movie part that I got was Fisher King, and it was a small part, but it was really hard to get that part because when I went in for the audition, there was like nothing but stars lined up in the hallway. And I thought, well, I'm never going to get this. They were all people that I recognized as stars. But my little agent, I had a tiny little agent. He had a one-man agency, right out of a movie, it was just one of those
Right out of New York.
Broadway Danny Rose type guys, right?
Yeah.
And he somehow got me this audition with Terry Gilliam. He was the director, the guy from Monty Python, and for Fisher King, and I got the part.
Well,
And
what part did you play in Fisher King?
I played a newscaster. It was only about a minute, maybe a minute and a half, but it was a pivotal scene in the movie because this newscaster was reporting on a murder that it just was the main focus of the movie. So I was really fortunate, and I got a story on that too. I got the part, and Robin Williams was in that. It was a great movie, and Jeff Bridges were the stars. So I had to shoot it, and we was supposed to shoot at like 7 o'clock at night, and I had my radio show the next morning, and I had a hard ass boss who wouldn't let me off. I go, hey, I got a movie part. Can I get off for one day? No. And if you don't show up, you're fired. That kind of thing, right? So I thought, well, I'll make it plenty of times shooting at 7:30 at night. Well, you know how everything gets pushed back and pushed back and pushed back in movies. And it was like I had an hour to get to work at the radio station when they finally filmed it. So I knocked the part out. I nailed it like 2 takes. And then I raced down to the station and got there just in time.
Frazer Smith, ladies and gentlemen. You know him, you love him. You got to have those shoes.
I'm going to have to go back to that, man. And send me a hoodie. I'll send you a hoodie.
Okay. All right. But you got to wear it, though.
Of course I will, man.
All right.
I'm a fan of this podcast now.
Oh, that's great, man. But don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
There you go, Brad. Great to see you, buddy.
Great to see you, man. Thank you, Frazer, for coming on with me.
You got it, kid. It's cool. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you. Same to you. I'll see you in LA sometime. Or if you get out
man, come out. You got a lot of fans and friends out here. Come on back out for a bit.
Yeah, maybe I will. Dadgummit, maybe
I'll get you on. I got to get you on my radio show too, KLOS show. I'll get you on there. We do it on Zoom like this.
Oh, I'm there.
All right, beautiful.
Yeah, no question, no problem. And I want to thank Yogi Marquise, our producer and editor, who puts all the bells and whistles into the program and who got us on the air today.
Without Yogi, we wouldn't have been on today.
No.
He made it happen.
Made it happen. Made it happen. My man. Well, God bless you, man, and you stay safe out there.
You too, buddy. Have great holidays. Nice to talk to you, Brad.
You too, Frazer. Thank you, man.
Take care, buddy.